Hi, my name is Rex Holwell. I'm the Manager of Nunatsiavut Operations for SmartICE, and I taught myself how to juggle.
What exactly is SmartICE? Could you just describe to us what SmartICE does?
Yes, so we are a not-for-profit organization. So unlike other profit organizations, any money that we do make just gets funneled back into the SmartICE program, be it operator training, equipment, travel to the many communities that we have to go to. And what we do is we empower and train locals in the communities where we go to, and we teach them on how to use our equipment uh, to measure ice thickness. And once we're done, we will provide them support. So the people that we train in communities to use our equipment, they can then, measure the sea ice, and then they let the people in the communities know about any irregularities or the sea ice thickness while they're doing their checks while they're working for us with Smart Ice.
How has ice thickness previous to, I guess, the technology that SmartICE was bringing in? How are the Inuit understanding the ice thickness beforehand?
Well, I mean, like before, 300, 400 years ago, the ice was pretty simple to read because it was nice and cold without the effects of climate change back then. So, the ice knowledge was known through passing it from generation to generation. Going out hunting with their fathers or grandfathers and getting taught that traditional knowledge was easier back then. But now with climate change, what we're seeing is a lot of this traditional knowledge. Um, some of it is still relevant, but some of the stuff that we're encountering is stuff that you know we've never encountered before. So sometimes that traditional knowledge can't be implied, well, can't be used as well as when they're traveling on seas because we're seeing conditions that we've never seen before. So we need new technologies like Smart Ice that we're providing to help give these people who travel on the seas the extra bit of safety knowledge to help them travel on the sea safely.
Awesome. And you describe, the I guess the changes in the ice that you've never seen before. What does that mean? What does that look like?
I mean, like now we're here in where I am in northern Labrador. We're seeing climate change um, to the effect where I fully anticipate when my children are older, they're not going to be any sea ice here. So um, the importance of the sea ice to the culture it is number one. Um, and the thing is, if people aren't sure of the sea ice, like I said, people here in other communities they go hunting to offset the high cost of living. So just for the price of a tank of gas in a snowmobile to be able to go out and hunt a seal that may feed a family, for 3 or 4 days. If if they feel the sea ice is unsafe, then either one of two things they will happen is a they won't be able to go out to get the seal or the char or the caribou to feed their family, or b they'll be taking chances on the sea ice which we don't want to do. So I mean, it's imperative that we have the sea ice here. And also the other thing is, it's been said many times, and I've said it, and I've always said, like the sea ice truly is our highway. The ability to be able to go out on the sea ice to hunt, to here in Labrador, we're able to go get wood to heat our homes. It helps us cut the cost of living down. But also the other side is now, it's a huge thing to be able to go off on the land for Inuit to go out on the land just for your mental well-being. And without the ice being as safe as it used to be, and people not going out on the sea ice, it has a huge effect on their mental well-being. And we're seeing that effect where the sea ice is not as thick and the season isn't as long. We're seeing people being affected by not feeling safe enough to go down the sea ice. You can see in their mental well-being that it's having a huge effect on them.
Had there been any like incidents or anybody noticing that the ice wasn't as thick before? Like, what was the impetus for SmartICE developing their technology?
Well, to kind of it's the same kind of question, but Smart Ice was actually founded because of climate change here in Maine, Labrador. So back in 2009 and 2010, in those 2 years, we had rain. I think it was like early February. It rained for like 2 or 3 days straight. Here in Labrador in early February. it's supposed to be, minus 40 with the wind chill. But in those 2 years, we had rain, and we had a lot of rain, and that was the effect of climate change. That a lot of uh, Inuit weren't traveling on the sea ice because it was new conditions that we were seeing on the sea ice, and it led to them being unsure of the traditional knowledge. And then, many people were talking to our local Nunatsiavut government officials. So then, they reached out to Memorial University in St. John's, where they found a professor, uh, Dr. Trevor Bell, who helped found SmartICE. So SmartICE itself was found because of climate change.
Hmm. Could you describe a little bit about the smart ice technology? So, what exactly is the technology?
Yes, so the technology SmartICE has is we have two main sensors. One main sensor that we have is called a smart buoy. And if you can just imagine a 9 foot long thermometer that weighs over 100 pounds, um, what we do is when the ice is safe, we will go out into, and these smart buoys go that are decided by local committees in these communities. No good for me to travel to a community and decide where to put it. So we have these local committees that give us advice on where we put these smart buoys. So the smart buoys are put in certain locations that are well traveled by the communities. So if people are unsure of their route, they can just go to the SmartICE website or through the app where they can actually see the ice thickness where that smart buoy is, again, on that well traveled community. Um, but going back to it again, if you just can imagine a 9 foot long thermometer, what we'll do is we'll drill a couple of holes into the ice, then we will lower it in, and then it'll actually float. Um, the majority of it will be in the water, but the rest of it will be in the ice, and then in the snow if there's any snow, and then in the atmosphere. So once it freezes into the sea ice, we can tell due to the temperature difference between the salt water on the bottom and the ice. So when the ice is freezing, if you can use my fingers for example, as the temperature goes lower and lower like this, we can tell because we have little individual thermometers going down this 9 foot long smart buoy. And so we can tell the thickness of the ice by the temperature difference as it's getting thicker when it's freezing, or conversely, in the spring when it's melting, we can tell how thick the ice is by the temperature difference. So that's one of our technologies. And those smart buoys, we actually make these here in Nain. So here in Nain, I hire on local youth and local people, and these smart buoys are built, tested, assembled, and then sent out here in Nain Labrador, from Nain Labrador, and they're made by Inuit for Inuit. So we're quite unique that we're building something in the north that is meant for the north, and those are our smart buoys. And then the other piece of tech that we have is what we call a smart cometic. It's a sensor that we will tie down onto a cometic. A cometic is what we call a wooden sled that you tow behind snowmobiles, and then the sensor is lashed down to this sled. And as we're traveling on the sea ice, it measures in real time how thick the sea ice is. That's the tablet that the operators will have on their snowmobile right there. And as we're traveling along, we can tell how thick the sea ice is using that tablet. So we can go for a quick 20-minute ride down in the harbor on the sea ice, or we can go for a full 8-hour ride on the sea ice, and it will track and measure the ice thickness the whole route that we're taking. And when we come back to, say, my main building here in Nain, it will automatically upload the Smart Cometic run. And it'll have a scale on the website that people can quickly look at, and then from the map and the scale and the ice measurements, they can make informed decisions using that data, again, for them to hopefully travel safer out on the sea ice.
When you had spoken about the employment program and the youth working on developing the boys and kind of working through that process, is that long-term employment? And I'm just wondering, it's Nunatsiavut, it's not the only area that has ice, I'm sure. Are you exporting it? Does anybody else buy these as well to use in other areas?
Right now, Smart Ice, we're probably in about 40 communities, 30, at least 30. I know 30 communities across Canada's north, Inuit, and we're actually expanding to the Canadian interior, like northern Alberta and northern Saskatchewan. So these smart buoys are built here in Nain, and then they go to all of these communities. So I mean, the youth know that they're building something that could go to Tuktoyaktuk or Joe Haven or Pond Inlet, where essentially something that they're building will go to somewhere in northern Canada, and with the potential of hopefully, not hopefully, but with the potential of helping save somebody's life. And then when these youth are building it, we'll actually have a little sticker that will put the sticker onto the smart boy, but then they'll take their a Sharpie and they'll mark their name on the smart boy, and then it instills a bit of pride into them, that you can see into them when they know they're building something with their name written on it that is going up to these communities. They have a they have pride in them, that they know something that they're doing again could potentially help save somebody's life into these other communities where these smart boys are going.
So you had mentioned that going out on the ice helps with the Inuit people's mental health, and kind of lifestyle. Could you just describe that a little bit more, and how being able to go on the ice has had an effect on the people?
you know the need, and this is not just for Inuit but for anybody in general. The ability of not being able to travel to your cabins, for example, or here in northern Labrador or across the north, to their traditional hunting grounds, to their traditional fishing grounds. The ability of not being able to go out on the land has a huge factor for people's well-being. So again, if people aren't feeling safe or don't want to travel on the sea ice, and they're stuck in their community, that has a whole deeper level to the Inuit, because our connection is to the land, and without the ability of being able to travel out to on the land to practice our culture has a huge effect on their mental well-being. And without the CSDR, you can see it. You can see it on people's faces when the CS isn't safe to travel and they're stuck in community. You can see people start getting cabin fever, and they need to get out on the land to get away from it all. And again, with that CS not there, it just has a huge impact on people's mental well-being.
Do you have a favorite memory while working with SmartICE in terms of implementing the solutions that you've been working on?
I mean, I have many. Like, I've traveled to many communities teaching operators in their communities. But at the end of these training programs in communities, we'll have a open house. I've been to a few communities where we had these meetings, and we had local elders and hunters come in, and once they see what we're training their operators to do, um, they always come back, and they say, this is good things that you're teaching our people in our community. For me to hear that from the elders, what we're doing is good stuff, and they're thanking us for teaching their people on how to use our technology. For me, that makes the whole job worth it.
Thank you so much, Rex. Yeah, thank you for your time, and
Yes,
for
you're welcome.
sharing
Thank
that.
you very much. You had very good questions.
Oh, thank you.